Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. I know this is totally off the cuff, but that is how I tend to do my walkthroughs now. I've got time to sit down and do a walkthrough, so let's do a walkthrough right this minute before we do our plan with me. What are we gonna do? We just roll with the time that we have, right? I hope that everybody is happy, having a wonderful Sunday if they're watching this now. If you're watching it later, I hope you're having a wonderful whenever of the part of the week it is that you're watching. Could I have gotten a drink before I went live? Sure, I could have, but that would have been too easy, wouldn't it have? Um, so I'm going to dive right into this. I do normally on Sundays do my plan with me, but I'm going to do that whenever I get done with this. I'm just going to end the video and roll right into it. So, hello, Jalama. Hello, Mr. Ron and Marsha. And hello, Alexa. Alexa, stop. That was true. She stopped now. She was supposed to remind me to start, but apparently I started beforehand. This is what it is. We're just rolling with things as we are. Hello, Gail and Bina. Okay, I'm going to try to stay pretty focused to so people watching back for the walkthrough and save too much chit-chatting for the plan with me. But I was contacted by Jenny, I believe. Yes, Jenny is the one who contacted me. I know Jessica is also the author, to see whether I'd be interested in doing a walkthrough of their decks, but wanting to make sure it was a good fit, which I appreciate because I only like to do walkthroughs of decks that I would in some conceivable way purchase myself because I don't want to waste somebody's resources. This one, so they sent me a link so I could kind of look at what they were because I hadn't seen these. And this deck here, I caught my attention big time. So we're going to start with this one, but these are two decks by the same creators, Jenny Han and Jessica Richetti. I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering that. The artist is Jenny Han, and the author is Jessica Richetti. And so they are both by that. I put a link in the description box. But this one really caught my attention, although I have skimmed through these just very briefly. This one I've worked with a little. I did a reading for myself with it. This one actually I'm really excited about as well. But we're going to set that one up here for right now because I want to take a look at this one first. I do have this out of order because I was kind of playing with it because I wanted to see, was there how much shadow was in it? Because again, we don't often in a lot of our oracle decks, they're very supportive, very uplifting, which is all wonderful, but we don't get a lot of opportunity to work with some shadow aspects that are coming in. I have to say the deck that came to mind, not that they are like each other in terms of artwork or anything like that, but just in that the only other one I can say that has a lot of has a good mix of both would be Oracle of Echoes by Anna Torian. Her Oracle of Echoes has a lot of very visceral in her images. The shadow aspects are very visceral and you can really feel them through the images. And there is a nice amount of them where you feel like you're really tapping into those things. And this one reminds me of that. Again, not because they're copycats or anything like that, but just it reminds me of kind of tugging on things in a very visceral way. So that is, that's important to me. A lot of my own work when I'm reading for myself does have to do with grief work and things of that nature. And if you don't have decks that address any of the feelings and emotions that come up that way, then you're kind of hampered in your readings. Hello, everybody popping in. I'm trying to stay focused. Hello, Miss Tammy Pie. Much love to you. But I appreciate everybody who's popping in. And thank you, Marcella. So we're going to look at this one first. Again, this is called Wisdom of the Shadow, Oracle for Self-Discovery, Soul Work, and Transformation. Hidden in plain sight is the wisdom we seek most deeply. This 44-card deck book set invites you on an inner journey to explore and integrate the shadowy layers of yourself in order to find greater awareness, self-acceptance, clarity, inner peace, and wholeness. So that is what this one is about. Yeah, I saw that popped up. Obviously, they were sending out review decks. I haven't watched her video yet because I wanted to walk through it myself yet, but I did see that Lisa had, and I did not peek to see what her reaction was to that, but we shall see. So it comes in a magnetic box. Love that. I mean, everything, it's all beautifully done. It says, welcome, wise one. Within you lies a gold mine of truth ready to be discovered and integrated. With an open mind and a courageous heart, it is time to enter the mystery of the shadow to uncover the wisdom waiting to be revealed. And then you have your guidebook. It is the guidebook inside is black and white, but it does have a thumbnail of the image, which I'm glad to see there. We'll read some of these to get an idea of what we get in each of the cards. No wrong or right way to reuse the oracle. Some shadow exploration tips. What comes up when you first see the image, like what is the reaction that you might have to the image? What do you feel in your body when you sit with the core essence? Like, what are you feeling, being present in what you're feeling when you see these, and so on and so forth. So it's giving you some ideas of what to do as you're exploring it. And because we're dealing with shadow, she is, noting here that this can be uncomfortable, right? Doing readings about sadness and loss and grief and other shadowy emotions are going to pull up those feelings as well. And so that's something that you should only be doing when you're in the space for it, right? So for example, I don't do shadow readings generally when I'm already in a difficult space. Mother's Day, just past Mother's Day. Mother's Day is very, very difficult for me. I don't do shadow readings on Mother's Day. I'm already in the shadow space, and I don't really need any help to take me into the shadow space. Generally, at those times, I need more supportive decks, and I've learned to pull from decks that are going to be supportive, that are going to get me through that. But I don't really need anything to take me into shadow when I'm in those difficult spaces. So I don't choose to pull a deck like this when I'm already in a shadowy space, because then I'm going to be a little less capable of I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I would be a little less capable of discerning the true message, because I would already be in that shadow space, and then having something to pull it down even more wouldn't for me be helpful in my grief process. Now, everybody's different. Some people maybe want to pull a shadowy deck when they're already in shadow space, but I like to approach these types of decks, like this deck, like Book of the Dead deck that I've been using a lot. I try to pull those when I'm in a good space to be able to hear and to be able to listen and to be able to process the message. So, we pull the decks that are going to be most useful for us in the time. So I like how she's checking in with that. There are rituals in here as well, in each of the cards. And then they have some spreads here, pulling a 1 card, pulling a mirror card. I liked this diving deeper. This is what I did for myself, which is a core wisdom. What's underneath this core wisdom? And if you go even deeper, what's under that? And I found that to be very eye-opening and helpful. So I really loved that. Again, I love it when they put spreads, even if they're 3-card spreads, because for oracles, I don't use much more than 3 cards. But I like it when it has something to do, it relates to the actual theme of the deck. Alchemical spread, core wisdom, support, shadow, previous expressed potential to express. That looks interesting as well. So I liked the looks of the spread, and I did the one spread for myself. And then we get two, it looks like we get, I think, 2 pages. Yeah, 2 pages for each of the cards. It gives you a thumbnail of the card, the title. It gives you what you're seeing, which I do really like when you have, okay, if we just look at the card, and we're going to obviously look at these and walk through it. But if you just look at the card, you may not know, like, why is there a mask on this particular card or whatever, where it gives you a key into what you should be seeing there. It gives you some about the main symbol here, gives you a write-up, gives you something to think about and question yourself about, and then gives you a ritual, something you can actually do with this. So I think that that's really beautiful. Now, again, mine is not in order because I've done 2 things here. I did a reading for myself. I'm going to set this here because that's the one we're talking about right now. But I also, let me find the... I also split the deck up because I was just curious to see, again, I'm really interested in decks that incorporate shadow because I don't think we have a lot of them. Or if we do, sometimes they have 1 or 2 cards, but overwhelmingly the deck is not going to be addressing shadow, really, right? And so I did split them up. Now, obviously, there are some of them that are just neutral and can go either way depending on how you're using it. So this was just not, I wasn't trying to be nitpicky. I was just popping them into piles just to see, what I would do. And about half of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of them are pure shadow cards. And then there were a couple of these that could, again, go either way of the other one. So that is a pretty good chunk of the cards that are really just hitting into difficult topics like resistance, greed, judgment, shame, doubt. And we'll obviously are going to walk through these, so I won't do it so quickly like that. But really are leading into where there can be shadow coming up. And I find these types of decks to be useful, of course, for personal exploration, but they're also really great for if you work in ancestral healing. So if you're, I see ancestral work as going both ways, right? We want to break patterns and reinforce good patterns in family dynamics in our own life. But I also believe that the work that we do can actually go back and heal ancestral issues and negative patterns that might be there as well. So I find having a deck that has some of these more negative concepts to be useful also in ancestral work, where you're doing sort of that work of interrupting maybe negative patterns that are in your family line and trying to go back and do healing work that way. I find that to be helpful as well. Okay, so since it's the Book of Shadow, and these are not in order, as I said, well, let me see if I can find the first one. Probably not. We'll just grab one. Ooh, that one's beautiful. Again, something like letting go, like that can be a shadow, and sometimes that means we're holding on to something too closely, and we have that need to let it go. So there are many that can go either way depending on the situation. I absolutely love the artist's artwork. This is the artist is Jenny Han, and I love the artwork in this deck. It is very color based in terms of, but it really pulls at you with colors. It is also very evocative. Like, her artwork is very evocative of what the title of the card is. And so you get the art itself is pulling that in, as well as the text on it, which I think is really fantastic. It kind of reminds me, again, when I was looking through them, it reminded me, and I can't remember what the name of the deck is. It's an pretty old Oracle deck by Tony Salerno. It's got a heart on the front of the box. But anyways, it kind of reminded me some of the older Tony Salerno artwork. It reminded me again of Anna Turian's Oracle of Echoes. It also reminded me of Nari Anastasia's in her decks. Again, not in the sense that it's the same artwork, but in the sense that it has that same way of kind of pulling at and evoking reactions from the artwork itself. It's really quite beautiful. I was really drawn in by that. But let's read what this passage gives us, just so that you have an idea of what we get in the guidebook. It's alphabetical, so if you mix it up like me, as we will all do when we get our decks. Yes, yes, Westar Tarot. I felt like it had that similar tug to hers. There's just it really pulled at a lot of, for me, very positive kind of connections to other decks that I thought, okay, this is pretty powerful. Okay, so we have, again, the little, of course, that doesn't do the image justice, but at least you have a little key in. If you're just laying in bed and wanting to read through the guidebook, you at least have a key in of what the image is. So it says letting go, and the art. So what we're supposed to kind of get from the art is this idea of letting go. That I love that posture of vulnerability, even though there's a vulnerability card, but that arms are spread apart, the chest is open, and there is just a sense of, okay, I'm just going to release this in the body posture. And then it goes on to describe what you could pick up in the art. Arms wide open to infinite flow, stepping back, light pours in, allowing, opening, surrendering, illumination, clarity, possibility, support, guidance. A soft ease arrives. What had been in grasp falls away and creates space for something greater. I really love this in the couple that I read. For my own reading, it almost has a stream of consciousness, poetic prose feel to it that I find really beautifully done. Letting go can create space for letting in. There is a certain amount of control that can feel good, knowing we have sovereign choice and discernment, being responsible for action / out. Oh, I shouldn't be covering the image. Sorry, folks. There's a certain amount of control that can feel good, knowing we have sovereign choice and discernment, being responsible for action and outcome, and receiving rewards for making choices. Perhaps we have experienced being part of circumstances that were out of our control. No. I feel like everybody had that horrible experience, right? Or have felt that it was like what it was like to lose control. The more we have experienced feelings of control deficit, we may be more likely to have tendencies towards an excess of control. This is especially true if control has been used in a way that brought us harm. We can then become hypervigilant as a natural safety response mechanism. If you're raised in a fundamental religion that wants to clamp down on every single thing, a lot of times the reaction is, don't tell me what to do. Like continuing into your 50s, like, don't tell me what to wear or what to do. Like you definitely have a lot of pushback against that, right? We can then become hypervigilant as a natural safety response mechanism. It is also likely that we have witnessed polarized aspects of control. Our world is filled with examples of excess control, force, and manipulation rather than healthy and balanced expressions. Letting go can seem terrifying in some cases. While letting go can feel like I will not be in control at all, the invitation is to come to a harmonious balance. Think about where you can bring in more ease to create space for new possibilities. There is more we can't control than which we can. So how can we let go when necessary and trust the process? Become aware of opportunities to trust and let go. So that's the main portion of the book, which I feel like is really well written, really taps into what are some of the issues somebody might have with control. Oops, sorry, I wanted this where it would show. And gives you something to think about. Now, there's another section called Contemplations, and that asks some questions. What am I grasping so tightly and attempting to force? When have I practiced letting go, and what was the outcome? When do I feel a need to express control and why? And then there's a ritual section. Air is a wonderful element for letting go. This can be powerfully felt when rolling down a window in a moving car or standing outside when it is windy. Feel that which you are holding on or attempting to control. Feel the power of the winds flowing in and through your energy field. Invite the energy of letting go and speak out loud, I let go of, whatever that is. I feel it leave me. Feel as the sound waves of what you speak are quickly flushed away with the wind. Notice a clearing as fresh air floods in. You can also speak an energy that you are calling in to replace that which you are letting go. Take a moment to breathe and feel. So that's what you're getting for each of the cards. They all seem to be about the same level, the same amount of text that's being given, where you have sort of an I statement, which is really wonderful. I don't know if I even read that. I sink deeply into the control opening of surrender. I let go of the need to control and create space for ease. So there's an affirmation or a statement of this is where I stand on this, which can be very powerful to utilize. Then it gives you the art description. Then it gives you the write-up, a contemplation, and a ritual. So that's what we're getting with each of the cards. So again, I haven't read through this as Westar Tarot said. Of course, tarot nerds lay in bed and read. I like to shuffle my deck up, but then when I go to sit down to read the guidebook through, I don't want to go put it back in order. So I do appreciate when there's at least thumbnails. Although truthfully, I think in this deck, you probably want to have the cards themselves because the color and the reaction to the imagery is so much more powerful in full color for sure. I definitely could see this going very well with Margaret Peterson or Scylla Conway's deck, Kathy Kerr. I don't know. Let's see. In terms of newness, I was just approached, but that doesn't mean anything. 2020. That must have been a rough year to put out a deck, wasn't it? That is, this one is 2020. I'll have to look on the second one if that's same or if that's something that just maybe is newer. But this one was 2020. Hello, John. I'm doing well. Thank you. Okay, so let us keep going. Well, I'm going to put this back in the back. So the first I have, these are not in order, right? So I've stacked these to see where we can look at the ones that are in shadow, because obviously this judgment, and she does writing on the cards as well, or on the images. So like here we have no. We have, see, it's too, I was able to read these on my own. There's no, there's a kind of, like a disgustedness. There's a melting away. So this isn't judgment in the form of the judgment card of tarot, right? This is, judgment as in having judgment. Well, Esther, let's look at the book. It is alphabetical. You'll just have to have a little bit of patience with me, because I wanted to check this one. I was very interested in, and I wanted to try it. So Hij, distortion, deception, but also clarity and perception and seeing, tainted views, different ideas, bias, hands reaching, trying to change what is seen, grasping onto truths, seeing underneath what is shown, seeing from multiple perspectives. So they really are kind of pulling at both sides of judgment. Judgment as we often see it in shadow, but then if we want to bring about the right side of judgment, that can be incorporated in the card as well. So I think that that's really powerful that you can have. And some of the questions on this one are like, how do I judge myself most harshly? Because we are most often our worst critics. And then when do I tell myself that I don't judge, but I actually am judging? So now we're the judger of other people as well as our own self. And then how do we expand our awareness for new perspectives? So this one I think can definitely go in that neutral category where this can be a shadow aspect, or this could be not. So that's quite powerful. I'm going to start some piles. You know me. Most of these are the shadow cards first, just because I've stacked them to see how many there were. This is a beautiful card of shame. I really love this look of, that inner, kind of retreating into yourself in that sort of defeat, and going into the shadows because of the feeling of shame that you might feel. The image, again, to me, this, from what I have seen, it seems quite clear that these cards were created for the purposes of Oracle, and for the purpose of their card, because they fit really, really well. Yeah, hiding out in the shadow of shame. This section right here is my absolute favorite. I shine, but then you have your statement of how do you then, what is your affirmation statement if you're sitting in that emotion? This one is, I shine the light of liberation and acceptance into my hidden corners. I am not alone. I am worthy of love as I am. Many of us need to hear that, right? So that's really, again, powerful imagery. The word works with the imagery. And then, of course, you have the text. I love this. Look at this ritual. Gather a flashlight and head into a safe, quiet place. Shame likes to stay silent and hidden. Sharing it and seeing it can help some of its timidity to fall away. On your own or with a trusted friend, speak your shame, name it and speak it. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Close your eyes so shame can feel a little safer, and speak free flow, raw and real, telling your story by speaking, I feel shame around. Then hold the flashlight up to a part of your body where you can feel the shame hiding and say, I see you. You are still worthy of love. I am here. Breathe into the shame. Watch it feel relieved by being seen. Like, that's very powerful. That'd be very difficult to sit in that space, but then to that imagery with the flashlight, and literally, because there's a lot of conversation now about how the body holds trauma, the body holds, the body has its own memories, and we hold that. And so sometimes when we're feeling things, we, especially shadow things, but even joy and happiness, we literally are feeling those in our body as well. And so to shine a light on that, I think, is really beautiful, for that, to relieve that. So, I love that it's looking at the difficult emotions and difficult feelings, but it isn't just leaving us sitting there with it. It's giving us an actionable that we can do to sit with that and to create change and to start that energy shift going. Does that mean that doing that one time is going to cure all your shame problems? Of course not, but it's starting you in the right direction and giving you something to do, something actionable, to feel like, okay, I'm not just being told I feel shame. Like, okay, yeah, I know I feel shame. So what do I do about that? It gives you something to do about it. So that's quite beautiful. Here we have doubt. This is really beautiful. I really like the open hands here because it's kind of like, I just don't know. I'm going back and forth. I'm doubting myself. Again, I like the color of the blue color of, it just feels like that. And I love the color blue, but the colors in the cards, it gives that feeling there. I also like that little shine of light there, that you do see, right? Because it's not that you don't know the answer. You do, you're just doubting it, which is really beautiful. Here we have dependency. This is an interesting image. I want to see what it says about this. Some of the images on this one and the other deck that we're going to take a look at have almost shamanistic, like if you are doing, if you work with journey work or any kind of like shamanic workings, and oftentimes that involves like wearing masks, whether you're in dream space or not. You're oftentimes, people aren't looking as they are, they kind of are looking as the issue or the problem that you're dealing with. And I feel like some of the of her artwork has that sort of shamanic feel to it. Holding on tightly to what is mine, grasping, speaking from distortion, intensity, demanding, attachment, substance addiction, relationship, seeking wholeness, dependent, codependent, interdependent, independent. They definitely bring in both light and shadow even in the very shadowy cards like Dependency, it's not a bad thing always to depend on somebody, depending on the level in which there is that dependency. Is it a healthy or is it an unhealthy one? So I think that that's really beautiful. Expectations like this. I don't know if I have a deck that has expectations. Like, I feel like expectations are part of the biggest problem in a lot of our issues in life, our expectations, and then those expectations not being met. I've done a lot of work surrounding expectations. Here you can see there is writing. You're working her to death. What else does this say? We have to do better. Not good enough. You are loved. So you have that positive healing coming in, and then you have that negative, all the kind of negative things that are coming in on this side. And then you've got this healing that's coming in that's trying to balance those things out. I do really like her use of words on her artwork itself. Visually, I think it's very powerful. And so to be able to speak, what are our expectations here? Because they're probably too high for ourselves. They're probably too high for other people. And that's all words. That's words that are floating around and running around in our head and causing things to get distorted. So I just think that's an amazing image. And I love almost like barnacles that are here, but then you see that kind of being washed away and some healing coming in as well. Here we have emptiness. I mean, that is such a powerful image here. Beautiful. I want to see what they say. I'm sorry. You know me. I can't help looking sometimes. Without whole, and holy. So it has the different spellings, whole, and holy. Feeling the void, aloneness, golden light pouring through, filling the perfection of the sacred spaciousness, hands reaching, but I sit in my own stillness, sitting in awareness on a throne of truth. So again, some people would see emptiness as, I have it in the negative pile, but it is also about sitting through and being still in that moment of emptiness, that it doesn't have to be this a void, right? But it can also be a space in which light can shine in. So I do feel like even in these shadow cards, there's a lot of opportunity for the positive emanation of that feeling and of that energy there as well. This is a beautiful, beautiful image there. Here we have sadness. I mean, tears. It's beautiful imagery there in the sadness. Let's see what the ritual is for sadness. Gather a bowl of water, salt for the salt of our tears, and a big flat surface like a countertop or altar. Sprinkle salt in the water. Stir it with your fingers, thanking your tears for times they have been with you. Drip water from your fingers below your left eye in gratitude for all your tears of joy. Drip water from your fingers below your right eye in gratitude for all of the sadness that have come up in your life and how it has taught you. That's a difficult one. Then on the surface, drip water from your fingers as a release, honoring pieces of sadness you've experienced. Notice what you feel. Watch the form it takes. May it be a pattern or a misshapen pool. When complete, let it dry or wipe it away as a reminder that sadness is impermanent. Impermanent, if I can speak. Again, I really love the rituals here because they're very practical. They don't seem, what I have read thus far, they don't seem like they are, it's hard to find like the ingredients or anything like that. It's more giving yourself representation to be able to do, and then that act of being able to then wipe those away is very powerful there. So that's sadness. Sorry, I know I have to speed it up. Discomfort. I love this, like just burning around the soul. But again, we have what is a shadow. Yes, I agree, Alicia. Alicia says, I really like the bold use of line and color. It gives a tangible quality to somewhat intangible things. The openness to the keywords are nice and expansive as well. I agree. They really are covering all of those ways in which discomfort is not a good thing, for example, but way discomfort can be something that motivates us as well, right? Pain and discomfort are there as warning signals, and they're telling us information that we need to have to take ourselves away from what's causing us to be uncomfortable. So I really like that it's not just looking at the shadow things as pure shadow, but then what is the purpose of this and what should it be galvanizing us towards? What should we be doing with this? So I really think that the art is expressive, and then the guidebook comes in and really opens that up. But even in this, it does, right? Because I love that we have all this discomfort, but we can see things start to zone down here. And then we have that arm coming in around it in comfort and potential aid in that as well. So the art is very, very expressive. I love this. I definitely did get this card. This is one of the cards that I got, and it was very appropriate in combination with the other cards. But I love visually, I love this, because it's not easy, right, to be able to artistically paint feelings and emotions. And yeah, I feel like she does a really good job. Burning under the surface, bubbling up, emerging, radiating, passionate, glowing, flushed, heart twisting and swirling, irritation, annoyance, nerves aflame, heat rising up, a fiery rose blossoming open from within the heart. I feel the warmth of passionate truth rising within me. I notice inner friction and discomfort when it comes up. It's just really beautiful. Ooh, look at how fear is. This is so beautiful. You've got it's expressing that tangle like in your stomach when fear comes in. You've got this pokey, almost, your heart. You can almost see the vibration of your heart like pounding because you're afraid. You have all of this activity going on in your brain because the fear is affecting your brain. It's affecting your body responses. It's affecting your anxiety and your stressors. Like, I just think that is a really fantastic representation of fear, and that kind of frozen, kind of stock still, and this body posture looks like there is that moment of when whatever happens, and you're just frozen with just all of this going on, right? I have a lot of my whole life dealt with a lot of fear, or very real fears. I have night terrors where I will wake up and it will be as if somebody is in the house or something is right in front of me, and it doesn't matter that by the time I'm out of it, I know that it wasn't real. In that moment, it is very, very real, and it's very, very terrifying. And so that to me really describes, or is an image that really describes that feeling of just like that moment where you're just locked in the fear, and all of these things are happening in your body at the same time as you're kind of frozen in that. Although I'm more of a runner, I more so when I was younger, but I was more one to run into walls in my night terrors. But I also have where I'm just like stock still, and all of that's happening on the inside. I just thought that was brilliantly depicted. Look at that rage, like that. Again, it's like it's visceral. I think there's words right here. I could be wrong. Yes, I could not. Can somebody else with better eyes read that? I'm going to try to get closer. What? Oh, it says, please hold me. Oh my goodness. That reminds me of the story of the Ballad of Tam Lin, where he's turning into all of these fearsome things, but the only way for him to be freed is if Janet holds on to him and doesn't let go. And then there are other stories where people have turned into fiery things when they're fae, and trying to release them from the fae, and then the person lets go and they lose them. So you see the rage here, but you understand there's a kernel of something in the middle that is actually a sadness or a feeling of inner child wound or something that is just needing to be held, but of course scaring everybody away with all the rage. How powerful is that? Oh, I love it. I mean, I love it in the sense that it's powerful. Um, Here we have dissolution. Beautiful. Again, things just sort of that spinning and swirling and just all starting to separate and come apart. In the I'm sorry, I'm trying very hard not to look up every one. Obviously, the next deck is in order, so it's a little easier. I allow all layers of falsehood and attachment to dissolve. I emerge into infinite possibility. But it also then talks about how unbecoming all layers placed on by the world, releasing those layers that have been put on you, dissolution of old ideas, parts of self, and layers of our being that aren't serving. If we allow our grip and attachment to loosen, we open ourselves to possibility beyond what we can currently hold or know. There's definitely a layer of Buddhist principles, it feels like, or at least some Buddhist ideology in some of the writing, which I, of course, appreciate. I don't think it's very overt. It's not like I would say that this person is a Buddhist or is pushing those ideologies, but there is a layer of that I find to be, very welcoming for me, that I think is beautiful. Panic. I mean, look at the artwork. Look at all the hands, like that feeling of somebody, all these people are grabbing you, and then that feeling of I'm claustrophobic. So this for me is a very good illustration of panic, because the idea of being like where there's people all around me and they're all grabbing onto me and holding onto my arms, like that is a panic inducing situation for me. So, and again, you can see kind of what's going on outside that would cause the panic, but then you're seeing all of an internal artistic rendering of what that feels like on the inside, which is, I mean, that's not easy. Anne says, you're right. It's very difficult to paint or illustrate emotions. I ran into that as a former illustrator. I mean, that's so difficult, right? Objects are easier to depict, obviously, than something where we're trying to get across what something feels like. But I think she's just nailing it. Here we have grief. I definitely pulled this card and sat with this one. Grief flowing out, feeling it move its way through, flooding from the tips of the toes up to the shoulders, inside of the eyes, shadowy rememberings and the heavy weight of their darkness surround. The tears are pure, cleansing, healing relief. Sorrow and sadness and crying and grief, like these are all things that I really have to sit with, because I struggle with crying and tears and things like that. I have a lot of built up learning to lock that away, to deal with a lot of difficult things with my son's sickness. And so now when it's a time when to be healthy to use it, it's hard to go there. And then I always have this fear that not a rational fear, but I have an irrational fear that if I really start crying, that I'm not going to be able to stop. And so cards like this are important, right, to have, that there is healing to be found in letting ourselves grieve and letting ourselves cry. That's important. And so they talk about that in this as well, which is beautiful. Here we have confusion. I like this idea where it looks like we're of two minds, it looks like that's what I'm seeing. I'm not saying that's what it is, but you almost look like there are two parts of a brain. And there's like these two minds that are sort of go back and forth and just not sure where to land. I really love this artwork. Here we have intrusion. That's very powerful. Pull that one up. Intrusion, shielding the body, shielding the energy, invasion and intrusion looming, hands reaching, desiring, seeking, wanting, creeping inward, unwelcomed, unwanted, uninvited, grasping. It is too much. Stop, no is what's written. Again, it's very, this section right here is very much like poetic prose. It's giving you keywords, which is powerful in terms of using them in readings, but it's also giving you this bit of poetic prose to it that also acts as a oracle in and of itself, and kind of tugs even more out of it than the image alone, which is really important. You know, when you there's certain, I have very few guidebooks like that, like the Shaman's Oracle. Obviously, the Weaver's Oracle for me is bibliomancy. The There's another one I'm trying to think of, but Shaman's Oracle is a good one in that I always read the message from the cards to the person I'm reading for, because there's actually more oracle, more message that is really strong within that little piece of the guidebook. I could almost see where this might be the case here, because this piece right here feels like an oracle in and of itself, in conjunction with the image as well. It's pretty powerful. Here we have pain. I love the receptors and the energy that's like coming off of the hands, and the feeling is there. Like, pain is necessary. Again, I read a book. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it was about leprosy colonies and the understanding of the importance of pain. That pain is actually necessary because it's a warning system. Obviously, if it's excess pain, then we're not going to be able to utilize it correctly. But pain itself is a warning system that something isn't right, so that we can do something about it. So I just like the way that you see almost the nerve endings on the hands. Here we have the greedy, my life, my time, my win, my money, my love, my daddy, my car, my lover, my attention, my body, my world. So we definitely have that greedy, grasping. And of course, I'm sure that the guidebook itself is coming in and, talking about the difference between, holding space for things to be part of our lives versus, grasping onto them. And there are reasons why people start to get really graspy. It can come from a place of great loss or not having things. There's a lot of different ways where it comes from, that we're really grasping at things, so that we can get to the heart of that. Resistance. Lots and lots of no, and the big red hands there. We have resistance. Art is the stand. Our no holds untapped potential, and it can be misunderstood even within us. How much attention and listening do we give to our no? Since we are creatures who like comfort and habit, when something stretches us beyond that, we can feel resistant, or we can feel a no rise up. Is our resistance serving us? Is it sharing with us where our boundaries are, or is it keeping us from experiencing something greater? So yeah, it's that sense that sometimes resistance is good, right? Sometimes resistance is there to show us that you've gone too far, and then sometimes it becomes reactionary. So they really do seem to do a great job at getting at the even in the most difficult of the shadow aspects, where that can often be right feelings or good feelings that are just taken to a different level that is no longer serving what we need to be serving. So those are the main ones that are very directly shadow. But again, a lot of the other ones can go either way, right? Sensuality can go into a sense of decadence and a sense of over indulgence, as well as it can be something that is very healthy and wonderful and expressive as well. So I think that that's really all of these cards. I think can go. Look how beautiful that is. Look at that human shape within that seed pod. Metamorphosis. Identity. I like the layerings here. The feelings of there being so many different layers to our identity. But I also like the Medusa snake kind of connotations on it. Wild, unabashed, underneath the blood and snakes is a girl, a human, a soul, heart, love, What is seen isn't the whole picture. There is more than meets the eye. An entire universe exists within, unique, weird, wise, one of a kind. That's pretty cool. Inner child, look at how beautiful that is. And this is obviously not pregnant. This is all the way up in the chest area, right? This is depicting the inner child. That is really beautiful. Here we have change, all that. The things shifting and morphing. It kind of makes me think of like a kaleidoscope when you turn it. And everything is like kind of moving and shifting. It's beautiful. Here we have balance. Absolutely beautiful. I love that it's the tree pose. And it just looks, even the colorations are very balanced. And of course, it's all stemming from that heart space in the middle or in the chest. Here we have truth. I know I need to speed it up a little bit because I do want to look at the other deck too. Here we have truth, emotion in general. So that's an interesting one, right? In a deck that's full of emotional things. Loss and flow, release, flooding, emptying, transmuting, transforming, fragmented and whole, expression of flame, feeling, allowing, holding gently with openness, in the body, movement, energy and motion, real and changing. The word emotion originates from the Latin ex movere, I'm sure I'm slaughtering that, or it moves out. Emotion is literally energy in motion, a moving essence within us that is very much on purpose. We have likely heard or been told this about ourselves, of being too emotional, or that experiencing too much emotion keeps us in a bad or negative place. Emotions are great teachers. They are ways for us to move energy, to learn about ourselves, and to notice a visceral sensation within us of something that is calling for change or awareness. I really, really like this guidebook. Really like, oh, that is absolutely beautiful. You definitely get connotations of the phoenix rising kind of energy here. That's just gorgeous. The painting is beautiful. Connection, it's like they're almost melding into one body, sharing their light together. So it's in a positive way because it is that sense of which is different than the dependency one, right? They're together, but their light is enhanced because of that connection. Soul care, that's beautiful. Almost looks like a human mandala. Got to stoke the flame. We've got to take care of ourselves from the inside out. Yes, I agree, Westar Tara. She says there's an obvious high level of communication between the author and the artist, which is not generally the case. I mean, it is sometimes, but not this. This feels like a united effort, a combination. It's not like the artist has come in or the author's just come in and just kind of trying to interpret. Like there seems to be like a working through of each of these cards on both ends that makes it very much this being very much part of the whole oracle versus just kind of something extra tacked on. Boundaries. Get the fuck away from me. That's the way to set some boundaries. There's a lot of I should have warned, but I didn't know. You're crazy. Let's see what it says about this. Because obviously boundaries are also a good thing. I protect my body, energy, time, and space. I am allowed to say no to anything and anyone at any time. Fierce declarations. Get away from me. Go away. Leave me alone. Layers of protection and boundaries. Safe inside. I can't do this anymore. I am worthy of protecting. Sorry, not sorry. No one is entitled to have access to me. Very beautiful. Boundaries are vital. Our time, our energy, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, our resources, our wisdom are all quite precious. We get to choose what we have the capacity to hold, what we desire to share, and when, how we engage with others, and what we say, when we say yes, or what we say yes or no to. Yep. courage. This is really cool. Again, it's got, this to me has a very shamanic dreamscape feel to it. I have had a dream very similar looking to this, except for the boat was going up into actually another like planet or another up in the sky level as well. But that is pretty cool. Wisdom is, that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Somebody very centered. This was the one that we had seen where it talked about the mask here. I am here. All kinds of things that kind of push at our boundaries here. Mask of shame. Masks hiding, shape-shifting, pretending, conforming. Choose. Agreeing, put on a smile, paint a good picture, don't be weird. Underneath hides fear, reassurance, insecurity, sadness, I'm fine, everything is okay, but is it really? So being authentic in your emotions. When we choose to sacrifice who we are to put on a face for others, we may likely feel betrayal. Not betrayal by others, it's the betrayal of ourselves. There are many reasons throughout life that we can put on a mask to hide what is really authentic within us. Vulnerability, fear, shame, guilt, rejection, uncertainty, not wanting to burden others, not wanting others to see us as weak or incapable. What are the reasons we have collected in opposition to that? Reasons to be authentic. Really powerful. Self-embrace. Again, I really love the use of words here. I feel like they could be a whole other aspect of drawing a card and having a particular word on the image like pop out at you. You know how if you have a deck that have a lot of little things, sometimes little things will kind of come forward in different readings at different times. I feel like the use of a lot of words in these images would provide that sort of other random oracle where a particular word or phrase might pop out of the rest of the image as being an important intuitive hit. How beautiful is that? You have the broken pieces, but then you have energetically all of the energy that's still holding it together in resiliency. This is gorgeous as well. Reflection. I just love her artwork. Integration, you can almost see it all knitting together. It's almost like you see a figure there, but you have that kind of soul self, and it's almost like all of the pieces are coming together and re-knitting together and integrating. This is, of course, the image on the book, which is and the box, which is absolutely gorgeous. The opening the doors, but these are doors that are opening within. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that tenderness. Look at how beautiful. Let me look at that one. I want to see what it says about the image. Tenderness after the fire. I tend to myself. I offer myself tenderness. I allow a replenishment of all layers of my being. Tender and tenderness, charred, burned out, gentle care, regenerating, receiving, resting, repairing, rebalancing the inner space. Flowers growing from the fertile soil and fresh aliveness, each layer inviting new possibilities. So it's an understanding of a burn, right? And yet then there is the regrowth and the re-knitting and the healing that occurs. See the flowers at the top? Beautiful. Victory, again, feels very victorious in the art style and artwork. Vulnerability. You have that look at me, see me, but then you also have tell me I'm okay. You know, again, all of these words I think could be really powerful. Am I enough? Will I die alone? It's hard for me to. Did I make a mistake? Will I be forgotten? I might die trying, but I took the risk. Look at me, see me. So powerful. Voice. Again, that could be, can go in different ways. How are we using our voices, right? Are we using our voices in a positive way? We can use our voice in a negative way. I love voice cards. And then we had the letting go, which we already looked at. So I think this is just really stunning. I was Very, very, I hadn't seen any walkthroughs on this deck or seen anything with it. So I didn't know what entirely to expect, but I think this is going to be very powerful for healing, for introspection, for doing the healing, sitting at the table and doing the healing work. For again doing healing work in an ancestral sense, if you're a journey, if you were to do journey work or like soul retrieval and things of that nature, I could see this deck being really well. I don't believe so. I don't think you can get it anywhere than on their website. I put the link below, but I didn't also look on Amazon to see. Sometimes even though they're indies, they still will sell them on Amazon, but I haven't looked. I think it's self-published indie deck. I don't know if it was originally a Kickstarter or not, but the link is below on that. And these are the backs. I don't know if I showed that. So for me, I don't see myself like probably only pulling even one. Like I could even see myself pulling one to sit with an ancestor space and then doing other workings to continue to work with that, whatever that card is that came up. I did do the 3-card one where you take that layer. You start with that main thing and then you work a layer deeper and deeper. That was really helpful, but there's so much here and there's so much in the guidebook. I would see myself pulling 1, 2, or 3 cards from this because I just think there's so much to sit with and integrate and to then do with what comes up there. But I'm really looking for, like I said, I did one reading for myself and found it to be very, very useful and work to do. Uncomfortable as dealing with shadow often is, but very useful. This riffle shuffles well. John said he never riffle shuffles cards. I riffle shuffle all my cards. It does. I'm sorry. I was too excited about what's on the deck. I didn't really look too much. Give you information. It's very, very matte, not sticky matte. That perfect matte cardstock. This one has a black gilding on the side of it. And it riffle shuffles really beautifully. Again, you shouldn't riffle shuffle things with side gilding if you don't want it to look like it's been used. I don't mind mine to look like they've been used. I riffle shuffle everything. And this riffles really well. It's really beautiful cardstock in that perfect matte. Not the sticky matte, but the good matte. So yeah, cardstock wise, really beautiful. The whole production is really solid and gorgeously done. So that's the first one. Hello, Phyllis. Did you miss? You missed the first one. We're going to look at the second one as well. Although I'm assuming all the things that we love here are probably ones that we're going to see in this as well. I was mostly interested in this one because again, we just don't have a lot of decks like this. But when I took a quick peek at this, I was actually, again, the artwork is just so gorgeous that it really, I thought maybe it was just going to be a bunch of goddesses or something of that nature. Nothing wrong with that. I just have enough of those and I have ones that I really like. And it's like, I don't work with goddess directly all the time. So I thought, I'm not sure if that's something that I would use. We have a lot of divine feminine decks out there, but I heard the artwork is so stunning that this I can see myself really using. I do a lot of divine feminine in ancestral work because my female line is very loud in my ancestor practice, very present. And so decks like this tend to work really well for me in that space as well. So we'll see. But this is called Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. Same artist, same author. Oracle for Heart-Centered Embodiment and Wholeness. And on the back, it says, the wisdom of divine feminine is a timeless, eternal, infinite essence that lies within each of us. This 44-card deck book set offers a pathway to embody a greater sense of freedom, deepen into ease, amplify joy, and live life guided by the heart. I almost wonder if you couldn't use these together even to pull a shadow and then to pull a supportive energy as well. That might be a powerful way, but we'll see once we look at them. Again, same box. It's the same. Everything about this is the same. Let me see if it's this when this was released. So this came out in 2021. So this was first, and then this deck was second. And this one on the box says, "Welcome, dear one. Within you lives a boundless potential to support the greatest expressions of your desires. With an open heart and trust in your path, it is time to more deeply embrace your beautiful wholeness and fully embody the wisdom of the divine feminine." Again, the box is all exactly the, oh, I love that side. It's like it's like a copper. It's not, I know it's looking like it's gold, but to me, in person, that looks much more like a copper. I can't get it to show the true color. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. It really does remind me of, I have a link in the description. Yeah, I bet you do have some bossy ancestry. I really do. Mine are more Nordic and Northern and Swedish and Irish and Scottish, but they're quite bossy. They're quite bossy. I can't. It's in person. It looks like a gorgeous copper color. And it looks like in the video that it's looking like an antique gold, but I would call it more copper. It's absolutely stunning. Same box, enough. The cards can't slide down here. Like it's the perfect box and setup. Like there's nothing production value wise. There's nothing here that it's negative. Like it's absolutely beautiful. The backs are stunning. I'm obsessed with Scylla Conway's deck. Somebody already referenced that. Again, this is very different. There's a different art style for sure. They're not the same artists, but there is definitely a very similar vibe to that, where it's a visceral reaction to the art, and it just kind of really pulls you in. And this has a similar feel to that. Again, Oracle of Echoes, Margaret Peterson's deck. Again, different art styles, but that same sort of evoking a response that's quite beautiful. There's the backs. These backs are stunning. Like I wouldn't change anything about that back. I love it. Okay. Oh, did I not? Okay, so it's gonna. All right. Well, that's different. It's alphabetized, but it is not. When you turn it over, that's would be going backwards. So I think we'll do this and flip it over, I guess, as we go. That'll be fun. Do something. Oh, I don't know what I just pushed. Is that an autofocus? Do I have an autofocus on this camera and I didn't know it? Let me try something. Oh, it focused too quickly. I think that might be, I can't read it. I'm gonna have to go inspect that. I think there may be a button up there that I didn't realize I had. Sorry, I got a little excited there. Sometimes people have said, can you focus that? And I'm like, sorry, folks. I'm really trying to recover my curls and leave my hair down more often. But I don't know if I'm going to last much longer because it drives me bonkers. So I'm just going to start playing with it too much. I'll try to stop. Okay. Inspect the button afterwards. I really want to know what that says. I'm going to have to get my phone and zoom in on it because I can't see. So here we have our guidebook. Artist perspective. I love to have introduction beyond binaries. Within this oracle, we are speaking about archetypal essences and energies related to the wisdom of the divine feminine. While this is a topic that typically draws in many women, we are not speaking exclusively to women. We are not here to be anti-masculine, thank you, or make the feminine more important than anything else. Both of us are cis women and create from the lenses of our own life's experiences. We have had transformative personal journeys with the divine feminine and are excited to share some of that magic with you through this oracle, whether you are cisgender, transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary, or identify in any other way. When we speak of the divine feminine, we are speaking of the archetypal energies within all beings and energies that are not defined by or bound by gender. We hold the knowing that divine feminine is not synonymous with woman or women, and that these are simply archetypal energies within nature and all of creation. We also hold the definition of women, feminine as not being limited to birth assignment bodies or wombs. Our brains can sometimes more easily make connections and understandings because of stories that highlight polarity and contrast. Joy can highlight heartache, illness can give more clear understanding about wellness, and it can be easy to want to make things right versus wrong, good versus bad. With that said, we understand that these energies are beyond polarities, binaries, or linear definitions. We do not intend to imply that our words are the right way. We're offering one perspective in a greater whole that is infinite perspectives and possibility. So that's beautiful. So they've sat and addressed, obviously where some of the issues are surrounding divine feminine decks. I don't have an issue with divine feminine decks. I have some that I really love to work with. I just think we have so many of them, and we need some more divine masculine ones. So maybe they'll make a divine masculine. Although, again, when you're creating a deck, you're creating it from your perspective. And so we need, I guess, the men or people who are really connected with the masculine energy, regardless of gender, to create some. But I like how they have described this as this is just energy that we all have and that we all embody. So that's good. And it's good to just address that straight up. Okay, so ideas of working. So very similar: contemplation, rituals, and then card spreads, heart of the matter, co-creation, the triple goddess, sacred circle. So again, looks like spreads that are to do with the topic at hand, which I love. And then we have the same setup with the guidebook. We have the thumbnail, the title, the art it's almost like it's titled the art itself, the affirmation, the beautiful on the last deck. My favorite bit is this sort of poetic description of the art. And then we have the text that we had before. But for cohesiveness, because I am going to timestamp to just this one in case people want to come to just this one, I'm going to read the text for this one. So this is allies. Of course, I am thrilled that they're crows. The art is voice, titled voice. The affirmation is, I create space to hear messages from my allies. I use my voice to stand in reciprocity with my allies. Whispering in the wind, songs of the unseen, ripples of word and sound, communion, voice, truth, kinship, allyship, the call from between the veils, familiars, companions, guidance, supporting and receiving support, sharing and listening. Being in relationship with our allies teaches us sacred reciprocity. When we create the time to slow down and honor the natural world around us, the animals, plants, stones, waters, trees, wind, sky, we may notice that we receive deeply in return. They may begin to share wisdom with us when we express our intent to be in allyship, either in action or words. Perhaps you have seen an ally, a turtle, a certain tree, a hummingbird, fern, etc. At some point along your path and felt inspired or supported by their presence. Our allies may be human or other than human, seen or unseen. Reciprocity with our allies is also about doing our part to give as much or as more than we receive. Divine messages flow consistently from guides, ourselves, collective energy, our relationships, from nature. It's important to tune into the messages from those we are in allyship with, to both listen and share. It's also important to tune into the vast web of allies that we have by our side, as well as those who we stand alongside and support in allyship. Consider ways to take action and speak your voice in allyship with others. Listen to the wisdom from the allies in your life. Ask your allies what they need. Receive new insight from allies and share mutually. Let your allies know you are listening. For contemplation, what allies have shown up along my path or by my side? How can I stand in deeper allyship with beings I care about? How can I listen more deeply to the wisdom of my allies? And then for the ritual, it says, step outside right now, wherever you are, or close your eyes and bring your awareness to a favorite place. Receive a full inhale, soften your body on the exhale. Relax your jaw to open the inner ear for deep and intuitive listening. Create energetic space to receive insight from an ally by saying aloud some variation of, I open to receive insight from a benevolent ally who comes with intent for the highest good. Take a couple moments in silence to allow yourself to open and possibly receive insight from a new ally or one you have already know by hearing, seeing, feeling, sensing, etc., and notice what you notice. So that's what we get. Again, it's the same setup as we had in the last deck. I really like the setup. I really like what's offered in this as well. So that's the allyship, and you can see that energy going back and forth. And this is an important message because I do think that we often, if we do ancestral work, we often are just trying to get guidance and guardianship, but we also give back. We give messages back. We give healing back. We give honoring back. We say their names. It should be going both ways. And that's the truth for animal companionship or animal allies, guardians that we have. That should be an energy that's moving in both directions. So I really love that. Next one that we have is beauty. And it's, oh no, I lost. Okay, I'm messing with, there we go. Sensibility, my path is lined with beauty in all directions. Floral mystery, many sensations. I guess I can't read them all. We'll wait for ones pop up. But again, what I love is that the outer beauty and the smelling that she's smelling of this perfect rose, but we actually see the reaction of that, of taking in the beauty of the outer world, taking in beautiful smells and beautiful sights, how that affects us on the inside, which is quite beautiful. Beautiful imagery there. The next one we have is blossoming, that sense of growing and just coming into the fullness of bloom. Here we have, so weird flipping them over like this, but I'm going to roll with it, try new things. Collaboration, we see the merging almost of two cells and turning into something new. I really love her art style. Very bold lines. This is different because there's actual people here, but her other art that we've seen so far has such bold lines to it, but is very evocative. Here we have community. Always a good card to have. Compassion, like that is absolutely beautiful. Holding space for people, holding a space for people to come and be warmed by the fire and nurtured. Absolutely gorgeous. Creation. Again, this is the divine feminine and the creation of the whole world. Really beautiful. I just really love her art style. I'm a fan. Oh, that's gorgeous. Let's read that one. Very moon energy here. I honor, embrace, and the wisdom of each cycle of life. I ebb, flow, and go through life cycles with awareness. Sitting in the center of the moon, embraced by her fullness, embracing her fullness in return, radiating luminous brilliance, adorned only by the moon's sacred reflection of the sun's shine, rooted, branching out, shadow and light, as above, so below. That's really beautiful. Oops, sorry. It's not an easy, oh, that's gorgeous. Devotion. Again, how are we acting within this space of the divine feminine, or just of divinity in general, or the overarching energies, and what are we putting out? Really beautiful. Discernment, very crone energy there. Gorgeous. I like the clear blue sky that we have there. Well-worn awareness, lit by a sliver of the moon and stars. Discernment honed in the darkness of the night. wrinkled and aged, a most beautiful crone, allies alongside the holy hag, the wise one of knowing. I mean, that's a really beautiful when you, especially when you put kind of the two faces there, right? You have a very different faces of the same energy, which is quite powerful. Love that. Here we have ease. That's a beautiful one. It almost looks like she's standing behind a waterfall. Yep, the art title is Waterfall. Ease flowing like water, trickling in, coursing through, within and without, imprinting body, mind, heart, and soul, becoming ease itself, softening, gracefully allowing, living easefully, feeling at ease, walking with ease, embodying ease. I love that. Love that. Ooh, look at that. Very bold, isn't it? Her artwork is very, very bold, but it doesn't have a harshness to the boldness. Does that make sense? Absolutely. There's a boldness to it, but it just enhances it. The artwork and the color use is just gorgeous. I love that. She's embodying the world. That what is outside is she's embodying it within herself. So then be careful of what you have around you, right? Here we have encouragement. So again, this deck is obviously here in support of, right? So we had the wisdom of the shadow, which is also supportive, but in the supportiveness in the sense of doing the work and really digging in. Whereas this is energy that's coming when we just need to have that supportive energy, which is part of what is needed in decks, right? We do need the decks that we can pull and say, you know what, right now I just need something that is going to support me in this difficult moment, that is going to encompass me, make me think, make me go deeper, but also give me something to hold on to. And so that this is, I could really see potentially using these decks together to pull for, especially, again, I'm thinking about for myself, when I'm in the ancestor space where I do most of my personal readings, being able to pull that supportive energy alongside of a shadow energy to work with is going to give me the support of that in that moment of doing the work of going into the shadow. So I that's how I see myself potentially using this. Here we have expression. Again, all the energy on the inside, but then that coming forth in the expression. I just love the artwork. I'm a huge fan. Ooh, fierceness. Look at this. But then look behind. Then it's almost like she has all. This is how I feel. And again, and Phyllis, Phyllis can attest, since she has kind of loud and bossy ancestresses. This is how I feel, right? There is that sense of your allies, your guardians, your guides, your community, your ancestors that are behind you, the divine feminine, that maybe your higher self that's behind you. And that's what allows then for you to roar out and embody the fierceness that may be needed. Really beautiful. Very powerful. Here we have flow. Moving with the flow, spiraling in. Let's see how that's different than what was the other one that I really loved? Ease. Okay, so let me look at flow, because that's different. Spiraling, moving, flow. Yeah, this is more moving with ease. This is actual movement, moving towards the light, sourced from life, waves like the ocean, heart energy entwining, consistent and consistently changing. This is about shifting and ever shifting energy. So that's beautiful. Freedom. Again, love the open arms. I love the body posture, grounded and centered, right? In that meditative position, but from that space of groundedness, having that pure freedom. Beautiful. Grounding, beautiful, like literally within the earth itself. I love a grounding card because I need to be grounded often. Harmony, all things in balance. You kind of have a mandala sense there. I love the sort of lotus connotation here. My lotus on my tattoo looks similar to this on the end of it there. So the roots going up to the blooming and then to the higher consciousness. Are really gorgeous. You have that figure behind it. So very much that sense of being in complete alignment. Humility. This is really beautiful. This is that kind of offering up of your essence, and that I always used in Buddhism, that sense of recognizing, being humbled by recognizing the divinity in other people and in the world and other beings, right? That you would recognize. So that's really gorgeous. I like, again, the body posturing here of offering up humility. But that's not humility as in you being less than. That humility for me is that recognition of sameness and that recognition of divinity in everything that we see. Introspection, absolutely gorgeous. Under the water flowing in, really beautiful. Intuition. This is interesting, right? Because very often you would think of intuition, they would show sort of in the head space. But I love that the whole entire body is alive with getting vibrations here. I know, I feel, I trust, I listen to my own understanding without a need for rational validation. Vibrations rippling at the heart, warm and vibrant and true, swirling in the gut, a feeling without words or a need for words. The body speaking its own language, a language of light, sensation, and the unseen. Truth, trust, listen. I love that. It's that gut feeling in it. You're just, all of your intuitive nerves are alive here. I really love the way this artist expresses things. Joy, look at that. Again, pure joy, the colors, the bubbles, everything about it emanating from the heart, like true joy comes from within, which is absolutely beautiful. You feel joy when you look at that image. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold the guidebook and then I'm twirling this around, which I know is irritating. Life force, that seed at the very heart of things. Love, this is beautiful. But see, you see it expressed inwardly and outwardly, right? Receiving love outwardly, but also that coming from within. Absolutely gorgeous. Mystery, that's beautiful. That's very like high priestessy, isn't it? Very high priestry. There are some things, right, that are mysteries that are beyond the knowing. We can feel them, like we tap into them now again with our senses, but it's kind of outside, and there's nothing wrong with having the mystery of tapping into those mysteries, getting little pieces of it, but not knowing the whole. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Here we have nature. So we have more that cosmic above mystery and more of the as below in the natural world, which is really gorgeous because you have those things connecting together. Nurture. Oh, so now we have nature versus nurture that can pop up as well. That is gorgeous. I love that feeling of like the spirit of the tree. Is there something on her? Are those symbols on her? Nope. I was just seeing what's on her top of her crown. That's gorgeous. I love this artist. Passion. Just say yes to passion. Color of passion. The movement, the vibration, the beating. Pleasure. Gorgeous. Potential. Oh, I love that. That's really beautiful. Let me look at this one. See what they say. Call the art. The cosmic egg. I open the portal of my own infinite potential. I let myself be moved in the direction of my potential. Life itself, the egg, new life growing from the great nothing and everything, from the cosmos, space, and void, through the holy portal of blood and bone, light glowing, growing, ready to emerge, holding the blueprint, infinite potential. Again, I would highly recommend, if you get this either of these decks, that you take the time, because you know me, I always read all the guidebooks, but I don't always return to them as I'm using them to read from. But this one, I feel like you would really gain more oracle messages by reading this as well. That's gorgeous. Power, within and without. Presence, that is beautiful. Feels like an enduring presence. Radiance. Again, love her postures for the arms. Oops. Rawness. Really gorgeous. Receiving, look at that, like you're just this conduit of information coming through. I really like these. I mean, these are gorgeous. I have nothing against these, but I really like the ones that are a little bit more ambiguous in form, but they are so powerful in expressing what they're trying to express. This is really gorgeous for that sense of just almost downloading and incorporating into the self the information. Ripeness. This is on the box and the book. So beautiful. That sacred union of coming together and everything springing from there. Get a very tree of life feel there. Sovereignty, very crown chakra feel and color and the imagery. Beautiful. Again, I really love, again, I think these are gorgeous. She does the body figures well. I like the more ambiguous shaped ones. They're my favorite. That's beautiful. You're actually seeing transformation. Trust. Very vulnerable to trust. Visions. That's gorgeous. Being in the hand of the goddess and gaining the visions all around. That's beautiful. A wellspring, that pour. Look at that, levels of going down. You have that shape of the body here going into this shape, going down into this shape, and filling up the waters. That's beautiful. And then the last one is wholeness. Again, what's outside being echoed within. We see that in a lot of these cards, which is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I am the same way, Lenore. I think that these are going to be amazing used together. Let's just try it because we can play here. Let me zoom. Oops, let's not zoom out. Let's zoom in. Or let's zoom out like a pearl. I think I know which one you're talking about, Phyllis. Lenore says, I spent the first part of this year working through the wisdom of the shadow, one card at a time. Yeah, I am really impressed with the wisdom of shadow. I'm impressed with both of them. This one definitely called at me the most, but I really do think these would be quite gorgeous used together. Thank you. It's actually now looking pretty ragged because I keep touching it. I'm trying to recover my curls, but I made a big mistake. I put this curl recovery on it, but then I brushed through it when it was wet, which I wasn't supposed to do. Anyways, I'm trying. I'm trying. Anne says, I like the more ambiguous figures as well. It seems like you have more freedom to react to the card. Yeah, there's a lot of intuitive reaction to those cards. They're very visceral, like that. Like, I love this idea of soul care. I mean, I love the vision of it. The artist does so amazingly at letting us try to see energy and see emotion inside of our bodies and what that might look like, which is fantastic. But you could pull. So you could pull, okay, it's time to do the soul care, read the work, and as it said, but then understand that this needs to be in collaboration with somebody else or with other energy, right? Soul care isn't just something that we do for ourselves. Who can we reach out to? Where is an energy or an ally, our ancestors? It could be a friend that we can do in collaboration with that other person, and the helping them and them helping us becomes this beautiful connective space of care. So I really do think that these two decks will work really beautifully. Obviously, they're by the same artist, they're by the same author, and the imagery, look of the cards, it's the same font that they've used across both decks. Obviously, you have two different backings, but they would just go really well together. Same cardstock. Everything about this to me feels the exact same as the other deck, and it's just beautiful. I'm really, really impressed with these. I think that they're really stunning. I think they have different purposes, which is also nice. Like, it doesn't feel like just a regurgitation of kind of, okay, we've got a bunch of these images now, how can we use these and make them into decks? Each of these cards feels very deliberate to the card that they were intended to be. The writing is very integrated in with the art, even though it's two different people. It feels like a very strong collaboration from two people. This really is diving into finding wisdom in the shadow, looking at shadow from both light and shadow, looking at all the different emotions and feelings in this deck from different perspectives. It is beautifully done. Whereas this one is really tapping into the energy that is all around us, but also within us, and how we can tap into that and utilize that as support as we're navigating different things. So they don't at all feel repetitive. They're not the same decks, just extensions of the other. They feel very different in energy, just depending on what kind of deck you're looking for, and or both of them. So that there you have it. Wisdom of the Shadow and Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. I guess they've been out. This was 2020. This was 2021. I had not heard of them until they contacted me, but I'm really honored to be able to take a look at these and use these, because I definitely think they bring something, both the author and the artist bring something to this that makes a really unified deck that as we've said earlier, we don't always see that in decks where you have two people, one writing it and one writing and one painting it. Sometimes there's a lot of disconnect, and that I don't feel that at all here. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they almost feel like they must be friends or know each other in real life, because there just seems to be quite a connection in their work that's really, really nice to see, when we sometimes see that not necessarily being the case. So there you have it. Wisdom of the Divine Feminine, Wisdom of the Shadow. I hope that you've enjoyed taking a look at them and walking through them with me. I'm going to go ahead and end this particular live stream, but I'm going to, for those of us who do like to do our plan of the week, I'm going to go right into that. So I'm going to start another live as soon as I end this one, where we can chit chat and get our weeks planned out. And we'll definitely be using one of these to pull for the weekly card. But so I'll see a few of you who like to play with stickers. But thank you all who are here live walking through this. It was a beautiful walk and a walkthrough, and I appreciate doing it with you. And for those watching it later, hello, have a wonderful week. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, I'm going to let you go.